with this Aston Martin build was my FU to him. This is my "you can never hold me down" message to him. Hey everybody, welcome back to BZ Builds. I appreciate you sticking with us. This video is a little bit different. I've been wanting to do a video for quite a while on my motivation for building the Aston Martin and the total build costs and the team building that it's done for my guys and I. There's something that's been weighing on me. I don't like to spread shade, but I've got to talk about a theft that occurred in my company several years back that had long-lasting effects on my business. And I have to tell that before I tell the rest of the story, because every time I sit down in front of this camera and I try and tell just the story about the Aston and other cars we built, it weighs on me. It weighs on my mind the whole time. So I want to share that with you guys so that you understand where I'm coming from and you don't think that I'm just some rich guy blowing money, shop owner that makes too much money, because that's not the case. My wife and I started our company in 2009 with $5,000 in our downtown Seattle location. And our first year was rough. It was really, really rough. Nobody knew who we were. $5,000 I borrowed from my mother-in-law and my friend Osi, who was my first technician and still a wonderful friend, will be for our lifetimes. I didn't even have any tools. I had about enough money to turn the phones on, put a banner on the building, and go to Harbor Freight and fill up the bed of my F-150. And we did that. And we had one lift in the building in downtown Seattle. And again, the first year was rough. We were about 9 months in. Nobody knew who we were. We weren't making hardly anything. If we had $1,000 day, my wife and I would go out to eat at a great dinner because we were so happy. Now if I do $1,000 day, I die a little bit inside. One day this woman walks in my office and she got an oil change, and she says, well, how would you like to sell more? And I said, well, what do you mean more? And she goes, well, I work for this coupon site called Groupon, and we're pretty new, and it's daily deals, and you can sell a $16 oil change. I'm like, $16? She says, well, no, not quite, because you only get 50% of that. I'm like, holy crap. But hey, if I got 30 customers out of it, that'd be great, right? And I went ahead and signed up for it. A few weeks goes by. I forget all about it. I'm driving in, listening to NPR one day, and they're interviewing a guy that had a bagel shop in Chicago, and all he sold was bagels. And he was just complaining and crying that all these coupon customers were coming in, and they didn't buy anything but bagels. Well, because that was all he offered. But we did oil changes and full service. I got to work that day, completely forgetting that my Groupon was running that day. And needless to say, it changed my life. We sold 3,418 oil changes in 24 hours. We were the first company to sell a $15 oil change, and I thought I was out of my mind just if I could get 30 of them. The phone never quit ringing after that. You combine that Groupon with our stellar customer service, absolutely stellar. It has never slowed down. It has only been an upward trajectory. And within a month after that, I had 2 more technicians and 2 more lifts. It was amazing. That went on for about 2 years. And we decided to look for a second location, but we wanted to go big. We wanted to go absolutely big. Castrol of America actually backed us on our second shop, because doing all these discounted oil changes, although we had revenue coming in, we were paying out more in oil than we were bringing in, but we were also getting the upsells. We were earning repeat customers. We got the second location open thanks to Castrol. I mean, they basically paid for the whole thing. The money they gave me on their small business grant program really, really helped out. We found our east side location, 7 bays, fully equipped with brand new equipment and remodeled because of Castrol. And it was a great partnership, and it still is to this day. But no matter how many customers you have, if you don't have the right staff, that can really affect you negatively. My first service manager at my first location, fantastic individual, didn't know anything about cars. Still, he's worked with me for 13 years now, still knows nothing about cars. But he's fantastic with customers. He was a bartender by trade when I met him, and he still has that passion today. We've always joked and referred to him as the hand to the king. Well, I had opened Redmond, and I didn't have a manager in place. The manager that I originally wanted, I'd worked with at Subaru, which is where I met Steve. He had a prosthetic leg, and he was all on board to come work for us. But the problem was he had to drive so far, his prosthetic hurt too bad by the time he got there, and he just couldn't do the drive. So I hired my first manager, who was useless. He was more concerned about snowmobiles than anything else, and he didn't understand we needed to make money. He thought capitalism was greed, and well, needless to say, that didn't work out. I had one or two more guys come through, and they just weren't the right fit. Well, then I had a family friend of mine, a friend of my older sister's, well, my older sister's friend's husband, who I'd known. He'd been coming to family functions for 25 years. Really cool guy. I kind of didn't like him because he was cooler than me. Like, he was the popular kid and I wasn't. And but that was okay. You know, he needed a job, and my customers loved him. We had a lot of housewives that needed rides home, and he was happy to oblige, and they were happy to have him take them. And he worked for me for just a couple of months when the hand of the king in Seattle said he wanted to go back to his passion of bartending, and he had an opportunity. Somebody wanted to open a bar and make him a partner. And I had no one to replace him. And I had to leave the new guy in Redmond on his own. And Redmond was fledgling then. The sales, I didn't really realize the capacity, what the sales could be there, because it was only a few months old. And our Seattle store, well, that was everything. That was our $1 million store. I had to be there. I had to have a key person there. So I leave him on his own, and I'm going over getting the paperwork every night. God, his numbers were terrible. Like, the sales were okay, but the costs were all off. Everything was crazy. Something was wrong, and I just could not figure it out. And I was so overwhelmed running Seattle by myself instead of just overseeing the two stores that I didn't quite catch it until suddenly I couldn't pay my bills, and it was very overwhelming. My father-in-law had given me Big Red, the 1965 GMC candy cane truck that I swore I would never sell. I actually ended up having to sell that to cover payroll, and not even taxes, just payroll. And taxes were getting out of control. Parts bills were out of control. I mean, everything was a mess. Well, this had taken about 5 months. Well, the hand of the king didn't get his contract in writing with his business partner, got screwed, and so he came back, and which was a welcomed him back. And so I immediately went to work on trying to figure out what was wrong with our East Side store and digging in. Well, I have two businesses. I have my car lot and I have my repair shop. And so what I would do with the cars for the car lot is I would run them through the repair shop with an invoice with the car lot name, and then do the work, and then just void the invoice once it's all done. Well, what I discovered by accident when I ran a void report was that the car lot had a lot of different listings. Like, it wasn't one customer, it was multiple customers. And then I looked at one of them and I thought, well, what is this phone number? The deeper I dug, the more I realized what this manager was doing was converting the customer to the car lot, but forgetting to change the phone number. So I had all the phone numbers. So I got with our invoicing company to help me reconstruct these original invoices, and they did. And I stopped counting at $50,000. I saw a customer name in there that I recognized as a good customer, but we hadn't been in the area real long. We'd only been in the area several months. And I called the customer up and I said, "Can you tell me about this visit you had on this date?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah. He offered me a discount if I paid cash." And so at that point, I knew what was going on. Clearly, he was asking customers to pay cash and giving them a discount, and then voiding out the invoice and stealing from me. I don't know how much he actually got. I could never bring myself to look at the full amount. I took this issue to the prosecutor's office, our county prosecutor's office, and I was told that in order to prosecute or prove that he had stolen from me, I would have to get a notarized statement from every customer. and there were a lot of customers, and it's a small community. And I just thought that I'd be better off fixing things and rebuilding going forward from there. Like I said, I still don't know the true number, because over $50,000, bad things would have happened. And the dark side of me would have come out, and I couldn't live with that. But I could live with someone stealing $50,000 knowing I could recoup it. It's been several years now. It's been 9 years. And the damage done from that cost me roughly $500,000 between penalties and interest and all the payments that I couldn't make, especially with the taxes. If you're a small business owner and you can't pay your taxes, you're better off borrowing street money from the mob than you are owing the IRS, because they are no joke. But we've paid all that, and we've moved ahead with that. And I guess with this Aston Martin build was my FU to him. This is my "you can never hold me down" message to him. I can't explain how hurt I was by his theft. I am a good person. I may flaunt things, I may be a little braggadocious, but you know what? I always help the little guy. Hell, I still consider myself a little guy, even doing $1 million a year out of Redmond. Maybe that I've gotten this off my chest now, maybe I can actually enjoy the build and enjoy telling you about the story. Thanks for sticking with us. I hope this wasn't too negative for you, and I appreciate you watching, and watch who you trust with your money, because it can get real bad real quick. See you next time, everybody.